Baltimore Ravens versus Miami Dolphins. Under the bright lights of Hard Rock Stadium, two struggling AFC teams collide in a game that feels bigger than their records suggest. The Baltimore Ravens, sitting at 2-5 and winless on the road, head south to face the 2-6 Miami Dolphins, who have been equally inconsistent but dangerous when their offense clicks. On paper, it's a mid-season matchup between two franchises searching for traction, but in reality, it's a gut-check moment that could define the direction of both seasons. Baltimore sits third in the AFC North, trailing Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, while Miami languishes near the bottom of the AFC East behind New England and Buffalo. Both teams have talent. Both have heart. What they've lacked is balance. Baltimore's defense has bent under pressure, while Miami's explosive offense has struggled to finish drives and protect the football. The predictive models give the Ravens a 63% chance to take this one, but percentages mean little when desperation enters the equation. Miami has already proven in past meetings that it can rise to the moment against Lamar Jackson. The last time these two faced off in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa came off the bench to shock the Ravens and spark a comeback that launched his career trajectory. Now, he leads the huddle as the unquestioned starter, seeking to steady a Dolphins squad that's been up and down all year. The stakes are high. For the Ravens, this is about staying alive in the division race. For the Dolphins, it's about proving that their speed and scheme can still overwhelm when the lights are brightest. Thursday night in Miami Gardens isn't just another game. It's a test of resilience, leadership, and identity. Statistically, the Dolphins enter with the more potent passing attack. Tua Tagovailoa has thrown for 1,518 yards and 15 touchdowns through 8 games, ranking among the top third of quarterbacks in scoring efficiency despite 10 interceptions. His rhythm passing and quick release have defined Miami's offense, which thrives on timing and speed. Lamar Jackson, meanwhile, has been efficient but less explosive. Through 7 games, he's passed for 869 yards and 10 touchdowns with just 1 interception. His completion rate sits at 71.6%, one of the best in the league, showing that while the Ravens' aerial yardage is limited, their efficiency per attempt is strong. On the ground, the matchup is close. Baltimore's Derrick Henry remains the focal point of their offense, posting 510 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns on 109 carries, a steady 4.7-yard average that keeps defenses honest. Miami's rookie sensation Devon Achane has countered with 539 yards on 107 carries, flashing elite acceleration and vision. Both teams rely on their ground game to stabilize tempo, but Henry brings bruising power while Achane attacks the edge with blinding speed. In the receiving corps, Baltimore's Zay Flowers leads with 486 yards on 41 receptions and 1 touchdown, showing promise as Jackson's top option. Miami counters with Jalen Waddle, who's tallied 504 yards and 4 scores on just 35 catches, a testament to his efficiency and big play threat. Defensively, the Ravens have leaned heavily on linebacker Trenton Buchanan, who leads the team with 55 tackles, and interior lineman Nnamdi Madubuike, who had notched 2 sacks before landing on injured reserve. Miami's defensive strength flows through linebacker Jerome Brooks, who leads the entire matchup with 85 tackles, and Bradley Chubb, who's been battling a shoulder injury but remains one of the league's premier edge presences when healthy. The Ravens have scored 174 points while allowing 210. The Dolphins have scored the same 174 but given up 215, nearly identical in offensive output, but both teams bleeding points defensively. It's a mirror image matchup: inconsistent defenses, uneven offenses, and quarterbacks with something to prove. The key dynamic? Baltimore's disciplined, short-yardage passing and red zone precision against Miami's tempo offense that can explode on any play. The Ravens want control. The Dolphins want chaos. Momentum often dictates October football, and right now both of these squads are riding emotional swings. Baltimore's last 5 games tell a story of volatility. A 30-16 win over Chicago snapped a losing skid, but before that came losses to the Rams, 17-3, Houston, 44-10, Kansas City, 37-20, and Detroit, 38-30. The Ravens' offense sputtered against the Rams and Texans, but roared back to life versus the Bears. It's been feast or famine, either scoring in bursts or stalling completely. That inconsistency makes them fascinating yet frustrating to watch. When Jackson and the offense are in sync, Baltimore looks like a contender, efficient, creative, and dangerous in space. But when timing breaks down or protection falters, their rhythm collapses, and drives dissolve into 3-and-outs. The defense, meanwhile, has battled fatigue from extended field time, showing flashes of brilliance, but also moments of vulnerability in coverage and tackling. This matchup serves as a critical gut check, a chance to prove they can translate energy into execution, not just emotion into effort. October football rewards resilience, and Baltimore's challenge is to find that steady gear before their season teeters too far off balance. Miami's recent stretch hasn't been much steadier. The Dolphins broke through last week with a 34-10 demolition of Atlanta, their most complete performance since September. But prior to that, they dropped 4 straight: Cleveland 31-6, the Chargers 29-27, Carolina 27-24, and the Jets 27-21. Close losses, poor fourth-quarter execution, and defensive lapses have haunted them. Yet their latest win felt like a reset. Tua was sharp, a Chaney carved through lanes, and the defense finally forced turnovers. It wasn't just a victory, it was a glimpse of what Miami looks like when rhythm meets discipline. The offense found balance, leaning on motion and spacing to stretch Atlanta horizontally before striking vertically. Defensively, the front seven showed renewed aggression, generating pressure without overcommitting and tightening up in coverage. Whether that performance represents a true turning point or just a temporary spark remains to be seen. But the blueprint is there: cleaner drives, fewer mental mistakes, and a defense playing complementary football. If Miami can bottle that formula, they have the talent to climb back into relevance and test even the AFC's top contenders. Baltimore's defense, decimated by injuries, has struggled to contain speed. Miami's offense, when firing, thrives on exploiting mismatches across the middle. On the flip side, Miami's defense has been soft against the run, a dangerous flaw against Derrick Henry. The Ravens' offensive line will look to impose its will early, setting a physical tone that could wear down Miami's front seven. If Henry finds rhythm between the tackles, Baltimore's play-action game opens up, giving Jackson cleaner reads and chances for explosive strikes downfield. The question is who sustains momentum. The Ravens' victory over Chicago was critical for confidence, but their road struggles loom large. They're 0-2 away from home this year, giving up an average of 36 points per road contest. Miami, meanwhile, is 1-2 at home, but tends to start fast in front of its crowd. If the Dolphins can build an early lead, their pace and crowd energy could snowball into sustained control. But if Baltimore's defense settles in and forces Miami into long drives, the visitors' physicality could gradually tilt the balance, turning what begins as a track meet into a tactical field position battle. In terms of trajectory, Miami might be rising while Baltimore steadies itself. Both teams are fighting uphill, but the Dolphins come in with renewed rhythm. Jackson's 2025 season has been efficient and calculated. He's completed 68 of 95 passes for 869 yards, 10 touchdowns, and just 1 interception, a sparkling 75.7 QBR, 5th best in the league. He's thriving on precision, not volume. At 71.6% completion, he's delivering one of the most accurate stretches of his career. His road numbers remain solid: 71.8% completions, 358 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But he hasn't unleashed a true breakout game yet. The Ravens' passing attack has been conservative, using play action and short routes to minimize risk. Still, There's an underlying sense that Jackson is holding something in reserve, that extra gear we've seen in past seasons where he takes over games with his dual-threat brilliance. The timing, the control, the discipline, they're all there, suggesting a quarterback playing chess while defenses play checkers. Once Baltimore fully opens up the playbook, perhaps blending more vertical looks with designed rollouts, Jackson's stat line could explode, reminding everyone how effortlessly he can shift from surgical passer to unstoppable playmaker when the moment calls for it. Tua, on the other hand, is volume and aggression. He's thrown 231 passes, completing 159 of them for 1,518 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. His QBR of 46.6 reflects the volatility, breathtaking highs followed by costly mistakes. At home, he's better, completing over 71% with a 94.6 passer rating. When his timing is on, Miami's offense hums like few others in football. But when pressure collapses the pocket or the run game stalls, his turnovers mount. The Dolphins live and die by rhythm. And when Tua gets the ball out quickly, everything clicks. Spacing, tempo, confidence. But one misread can unravel momentum instantly. The contrast is pure theater. Jackson is methodical, extending plays with legs and eyes scanning the field. Tua is rhythmic, decisive, and thrives on anticipation. Jackson wants to grind the game down and win on efficiency. Tua wants to blow it open early and never look back. Their differing philosophies could define momentum. Jackson's patience often wears defenses thin, while Tua's quick-strike confidence can bury opponents before adjustments arrive. It's a duel of pacing and temperament, a clash between controlled precision and explosive timing that should keep every drive feeling like a momentum shift waiting to happen. Their recent game logs show the difference. Jackson's most recent outing was clean and controlled, 19 for 25, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tua's last game was electric, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the 4 games before that featured a combined 7 turnovers. That volatility defines Miami's offensive identity, capable of brilliance but vulnerable under duress. Jackson, meanwhile, has matured into a more calculated passer, picking his spots and minimizing risk. If the trend holds, Baltimore's steadiness could outlast Miami's volatility in a game decided by efficiency and composure. In short, Jackson protects the ball. Tua presses the envelope. And on Thursday night, the quarterback who can blend their strengths, aggression with discipline, will command the victory. This game begins and ends in the trenches. Baltimore's offensive line, battered but still physical, must neutralize Miami's front 7, led by Bradley Chubb and Jerome Brooks. That matchup will dictate everything, from tempo to time of possession. If Henry can churn out 100-plus yards and control the clock, Baltimore's play-action game will slice through Miami's linebackers, opening clean windows for Jackson to exploit with quick, decisive throws. But if the ground game stalls and protection breaks down, the Dolphins' pass rush could feast on obvious passing downs, forcing Baltimore into predictable third and longs. In that scenario, Miami's speed off the edge becomes a major factor, and the Ravens' margin for error shrinks fast. This is a classic physical duel. Whoever owns the line of scrimmage will likely own the night. Defensively, the Ravens are holding on with backups. With Madubuike, Broderick Washington Jr., and Tavius Robinson all on injured reserve, their defensive front has been stripped of core starters and key rotational depth. That leaves clear vulnerability against the run and pressure packages that can't quite finish plays. Opponents have begun exploiting those interior gaps, forcing Baltimore to rely more heavily on linebackers to clean up in space. Miami's offensive line, though inconsistent, could create enough creases for a Caney to change the game, especially on outside zone runs and swing passes that test pursuit angles. If the Dolphins' blockers find rhythm early, it might neutralize Baltimore's disguised blitzes and turn those short gains into momentum-shifting bursts downfield. The Dolphins' defense, however, carries its own injury issues. Chubb and Eskridge are both questionable, while safety Ashiten Davis is doubtful. That secondary depth could be tested against Jackson's precision throws to Zay Flowers on cross routes. If Flowers finds open seams, he could quietly become the difference maker. Miami's recent zone looks have left pockets of space underneath, and Baltimore excels at exploiting those with timing routes and layered progressions. Expect Jackson to target the middle early, forcing Miami's linebackers into coverage mismatches that could snowball as the game wears on. Look deeper, and it's about style. Baltimore's methodical pace and time of possession control could frustrate Miami's rhythm offense. The Ravens rank high in completion efficiency and red zone success, but low in explosive plays. Miami lives off the opposite: high volatility, quick strikes, and constant motion. It's a clash between patience and chaos. One team content to grind through 12-play drives, the other thriving on sudden bursts that flip momentum in seconds. If Baltimore can dictate tempo early and force Miami to play on its terms, the balance of power could shift dramatically by halftime. Coaching adjustments will be critical. Baltimore's staff must scheme around defensive losses, likely blitzing less and dropping more in coverage to contain Tua's timing throws. Miami, conversely, needs to simplify protection calls and emphasize the quick game to prevent Baltimore's disguised pressure from creating havoc. Expect both sides to use tempo as a weapon, Baltimore to control rhythm and Miami to disrupt it. How quickly each coaching staff adapts after the first quarter could dictate the game's flow, especially in red zone efficiency and third down execution. Special teams may play an outsized role, especially if the weather shifts. A humid 22 degrees Celsius forecast could test endurance. Field position and mistake management will matter as much as pure talent. A single muffed punt, blocked kick, or coverage lapse could tilt momentum, particularly in a matchup where sustained drives are tough to build. Expect both coaches to emphasize fundamentals, clean snaps, disciplined lanes, and smart situational awareness, knowing one miscue could decide the outcome. The X factors? For Baltimore, it's Derrick Henry's ability to impose physicality. For Miami, it's Jalen Waddle's speed after the catch. And don't overlook turnovers. Tua's 10 interceptions to Lamar's 1 speak volumes about who's more likely to give the opponent extra chances. Beyond that, special teams could quietly tilt momentum. A key return or blocked kick might swing a low-possession game. Coaching adjustments will matter, too, as Harbaugh's experience in tight, grinded-out contests contrasts with McDaniel's creativity and tempo-based philosophy that thrives on rhythm and misdirection. This one has the feel of a grind, not a shootout, but a momentum tug-of-war. The Ravens' defense may be battered, yet their offense has found a rhythm of balance and control. Miami, with home-field energy and playmakers, can strike lightning fast, but often struggles to sustain drives when pressured. The trenches will define the flow. Baltimore's front seven must contain the edges, while Miami's offensive line needs to hold up long enough for Tua to find rhythm. Expect a game of adjustments, field position battles, and a handful of pivotal third down conversions shaping the outcome late. Expect Lamar Jackson to lean on Henry early, establishing tempo and keeping Miami's defense honest. Zay Flowers will likely see heavy targets underneath, and Jackson's patience should pay dividends against a defense that's prone to over-pursue. If Baltimore's offensive line can maintain clean pockets and open, consistent running lanes, it'll allow Jackson to mix in red option looks and deep play-action shots. The key will be balance. Methodical drives to wear down Miami's front while preserving the threat of explosive plays that can flip momentum instantly. For the Dolphins, Tua will open hot. Quick slants to Waddle, perimeter tosses to Kane, maybe even a deep shot to stretch Baltimore's secondary. But if the Ravens can force long third downs and take away the middle of the field, turnovers will follow. Miami's rhythm depends on tempo and spacing, so any disruption from Baltimore's disguised blitz packages could rattle timing and limit big play chances. Expect creative motion and play action to keep the defense honest, but sustained success will hinge on Tua's poise against relentless pressure. This matchup screams discipline versus dynamism. Miami's chaos is exciting but dangerous. Baltimore's steadiness is unspectacular but sustainable. And while both teams have identical offensive point totals, only one has a quarterback who consistently avoids disaster. That's the edge. Jackson's command of tempo and protection reads gives the Ravens an element of control Miami hasn't replicated. The Dolphins thrive on momentum swings, but against a team that limits turnovers and capitalizes on field position, volatility becomes vulnerability. By the fourth quarter, look for the Ravens' balance and clock management to tilt the game. Henry's punishing runs, combined with Jackson's decision-making, should wear down Miami's front. Tua will flash brilliance, but make one mistake too many. Baltimore's offensive rhythm, mixing zone reads and short play action throws, will keep Miami guessing and sap their defensive energy. Expect the Ravens to dominate time of possession late, using long, methodical drives to seal a gritty statement win. Efficiency wins over explosiveness. The Ravens climb to 3-5, breathing life into their AFC North hopes. The Dolphins fall to 2-7, left searching for consistency despite flashes of promise. What separates the two isn't talent, but rhythm. Baltimore's ability to sustain drives and finish in the red zone contrasts Miami's tendency to stall after big plays. Jackson's poise and decision-making, paired with a rejuvenated ground attack, should allow the Ravens to dictate tempo and minimize mistakes. Hard Rock Stadium will buzz early, but Baltimore's composure will silence the noise late. Expect methodical possessions, defensive discipline, and situational mastery to define the closing minutes. In a season defined by narrow margins, this Thursday night clash could mark the moment the Ravens rediscover their identity: tough, efficient, and quietly dangerous. For Miami, it's another frustrating reminder that flash can't replace consistency and that finishing drives, not just starting fast, determines success. Baltimore's balance on both sides of the ball should prove the difference, reaffirming why experience and execution still matter most in the NFL's grinded-out middle stretch. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Baltimore Ravens winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.